Hi guys, this is Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thanks for joining for another Disney video. Today I have Rob from Rob Plays That Game with me. Hey Rob.
Hi.
And we've got a really interesting topic today. I guess it's a little bit negative, but it's still an interesting thing to talk about. Rob, you want to tell them what we're discussing?
Stress. It could be negative, but this video could be about how to not just how to avoid it, but to recognize these stresses so you can avoid them when you take your trip. But what's stressful about Disney?
Yeah, what is the thing that stresses you out most about Disney? Is the real question here. And I feel like at first I was like, nothing. Oh, Disney's so great. And I'm not stressed at all. But then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that isn't true at all. And would just be absurd because every vacation stresses me out in some way, right. Disney or not. So, you want to talk about one of your things, Rob, that stresses you out?
Yeah, I think most of it's small stuff. Mm-hmm. Like when it comes to planning a trip, I don't stress too much because it's like I only plan it if I know I can afford it, if I know I have the time off. So that stuff's my stresses when I'm thinking about our upcoming Disney trip right now is one, weather. Not weather in Florida, but we're going in January, and my biggest fear is that it'll snow the day before and I won't be able to fly out. Flying back, I don't care. That's a really
specific stress. I haven't thought about that at all.
Yeah, well, start thinking about it because it'll be January. Who knows? It's scary. But that's the sort of thing where, it could be potentially vacation ruining because if you can't get down there, you're talking about missing days of your vacation. It's not so easy to...
You're stressing me out now. That's not...
But at the same time, it's important to recognize there's not much you can do about it. It's the weather's out of your hands. Mm-hmm. Now, the real question is, how far would you go to work around it? And I've asked myself this question, if it snowed the night before the flight and the flight gets delayed.
Right.
How far am I, obviously I can't just grab another flight. They're all going to be delayed. But would I hop on a train? Would I rent a car and drive down there in a day? What would I do to make sure I get there? Hopefully I don't have to answer those questions, but worth thinking about.
God, you really put that in my head now. I wasn't thinking about that at all. I think for me with this trip, one of my biggest stresses is having so many people in our group. Because I went through the pains of that when we went. It was September of 2015. Jeez, I can't believe it was that long ago already.
Yeah.
And I went with my boyfriend Peter, and you were there, and who else was there? It was Laura and my brother and his girlfriend, and then your dad and your sister came at some point, and it turned into a lot of trying to keep a bunch of people happy. Not you, obviously, because you and I go all the time. So it was kind of whatever, but it was my brother wanted to spend time with me, but Peter wanted to spend time with me, and people felt like we weren't in a group as much as they wanted to be, but it was also just impossible. There was no way to get lunch for us last minute together all the time, and some people wanted to go, to this park, and some people wanted to go to that park, and so that ended up being a stress that I didn't realize was going to be a stress until it happened. And so I'm a little stressed out about it for this trip, even though luckily we have a good crew of people who have been before and people who haven't, because I feel like the people who've been before are going to be easier to deal with in that way. They're not in a rush, they're down to do whatever, or they just know what they want to do and they don't care about, sticking around with everybody else. But still, you want to spend time together. You want to have a nice vacation together. You don't want to feel like you spent 4 out of 6 or 7 days not with people. So I think that's a little bit of my stress with this.
I think the big difference that's going to make this less stressful is that we're going as clumps of people, which compared to use that last trip as an example. My sister and dad came, like, they aren't Floridians. They came to see me.
Right.
They don't care about Disney. So, like, if I had been like, oh, we're going to go off and do our own thing, like, it's sort of like a bummer for them because they just really came to see me.
Right.
That sounds so egotistical. But, like, they're just not into the parks. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, here, everybody who's going for a Disney vacation.
True.
They're all going with somebody. There are no, like, loners, right?
True.
So it's not like, so even if we did split up completely for a day, like, everybody's going to be with somebody else. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to still be enjoying what they want to do. And so I think that relieves a lot of it. I also think maybe we'll just get better at meeting up, because I think the biggest thing with 2015, you mentioned your brother had gone, and I noticed when he got there that day, we ran into a lot of issues with overlapping what we were doing because we were trying to meet up, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll meet up. I'm online for this ride now. I'll be out in like 30 minutes, and then in those 30 minutes somebody went on another ride, and so that, like, because that overlap, meeting in 10 minutes meant like meeting in 2 hours. But again, everybody's at Disney, and I think as long as nobody's like left out in the cold and just like left alone, it'll sort of cut down on that stress, hopefully.
And like, I don't mind being solo and left alone anyway, so cool with me.
One of my stresses is, we've talked about this, end of the night, getting to that bus before the bus pulls away, and it's like just being in line and being 5 people away from getting on the bus to go back to your nice comfortable bed, and there's space. There's space on the bus because you live in New York and you've been on a bus that's packed like a sardine can, and people just won't shuffle behind the yellow line fast enough, and then you're waiting another 30 minutes and your feet are tired. That is way stressful enough for me that I was like, nope, I want to do a monorail resort.
I mean, you could always Uber.
You could always Uber.
That's your other option.
Probably cheaper than staying at a deluxe resort, but
yeah.
It's a minor one. My trip doesn't get ruined because I missed the bus, but it is definitely something that puts me on edge when I'm in line, and I'm just like, come on, just step back.
Yeah. I think something that's more specific to this trip than any other that I've taken that stresses me a little is resort hopping. I've never done it before. I'm a little stressed about the time that I'm going to have to move bags from one place to another, even though I know they can do it, but it's like, if they do it, are my bags going to get there in a time when I'd like them to? Should I just do it? Do I hop in an Uber? Do I hop on a bus? Like, I mean, it's all logistical stuff that I've never experienced before, so I feel like it's stressing me out a little bit, because I haven't really planned out how I'm getting from point A to B to C. And then, on top of that, we've already had some Magical Express mix-ups. So I got my information, and then for some reason they put Matt on like one of my flights, even though he's not on my flight, and he doesn't have a flight in for the boardwalk for some reason in their system. So he has to call. So like, there was that confusion of like, not only am I staying at 3 places, but he's staying at 2 of those 3 places and coming in on a different day. And so all the logistics got a little bit messed up, which obviously I'm sure we will fix. But right now, it's a bit of a stress for me.
I could see that. I think resort hopping itself shouldn't be that bad. Everything I've heard about it, it's really simple. Like, I mean, I understand the being weary about using Magical Express for luggage, because at that point, the airlines are still involved. And I don't know if I 100% trust the airlines to get my bags where they need to be. But within Disney property, they're really good at that stuff. And considering that you check out in mornings and you check in and your room's typically not ready till like 4, that's a good opportunity to, like, you can call and have your bag sent over. You can check out you don't even have to check out. You just walk out and go to the parks. And then at the end of the day, just head to the new hotel, check in. Line should be pretty calm because it's the evening. And then your bags will be there already. So, hopefully it's a pretty simple one.
Yeah.
One of my minor stresses, and this isn't like specific to any trip, but it's just a general one, is I have to get in the mindset of like getting food to eat is not the quickest process when you're at Disney, especially if you like, yeah, some people suggest, well, if you eat outside of the meal hours, then, it's a lot easier, and that's great and all. But like,
Right.
I am a human being. I do want to eat in those meal hours because that is when my body is hungry. So like, I think that's something I always don't consider. And I always feel like I'm at the parks and like 11:30 starts to roll around, or like 11:45, and I was like, I'm starting to get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know, if you look at any cafeteria, there's this breaking point where it's nice and relaxing, and it's a nightmare. And are you going to be on the wrong side of that? And similar to the other stresses, it doesn't ruin my trip in any way whatsoever. It's just something that I'm like a goldfish, and I just forget every single time to consider it and think about it. I think what worked best on our last trip is just, being a big proponent of going back to the hotel during midday. Mm-hmm. I've just sort of written off lunch as like, lunch is a thing I'm just going to do at the hotel now. Yeah. And like, dinners will be my special meals or breakfasts. But like lunch, it's just like, I'm going to grab something quick. And yeah, there are lines there, but they seem to be a little bit better. And it's simple, quick food, and just makes things easier. I guess, though, staying at the Polynesian on this January trip, I'm just going to have ohana every lunch.
I don't know if they do lunch. Do they do lunch, or do they just do dinner?
I'll work something out with them. I'll give them a
Kona.
call.
Go to Kona.
Yeah, just grease a couple of palms and, yeah.
But I feel pretty at ease when I'm at Disney, because I feel
never
like
park stress. Like, I never worry about lines.
Yeah, I'm not worried about lines. I'm not worried about transportation. It's like everything's kind of taken care of. And even if we do miss that last bus, it sucks. But like, I also know that in 20 to 30 minutes, I'm getting on another bus without having to need a car, or like, I don't know. There's just something about like when you get there and feeling like most things, if not everything, is kind of taken care of. So I feel like when I'm there, I'm a lot less stressed.
Though the worst feeling is when you're far enough on that line where you're like, I'm not even getting the next bus.
This is true.
Though luckily, I feel like I've reached a point in my life where now I can go, you know what? I'm just going to take an Uber. Yeah. I'll just eat the $7 to get to the hotel. Another minor stress that I've noticed I've had, and it's only the recent few trips ever since Magic Band really got fully implemented, is I'd say towards the end of most of my trips, like the last day or so, in the back of my mind, I'm usually thinking, how much am I spending with this wristband? Yeah. Like, what is my bill going to look like when I finally get it before I check out? And luckily, I'll be honest, for a place that's known for being overpriced by a lot of people, usually it's far below what I estimate in my mind. But still, there's that thought where I'm just like, right, this isn't just magic money on my wrist. This is a real thing that I'm going to have to pay for now. Yep. But doesn't ruin the trip.
Nope. I think that's it. I mean, that's all the stresses I've got that I can think of.
I got nothing else.
Pretty good. So I'd like to know what stresses you guys out. Maybe you're planning your first trip and something's really stressing you out. Maybe you've gone a bunch of times and there's something that consistently stresses you out. I'd love to know what those things are and how do you deal with them.
Not to mention, this approach changes 100% if you have kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should have just caveated that entire video.
Neither of us have kids, so this is clearly like their parents right now watching who are just laughing at the naivete of all of this.
We'll do another video in like 5-6 years and see where we're at.
Yeah.
But anyway, let us know, kids or not, what stresses you out at Disney. You can let us know in the comments below. You can also tweet us your answers. I'm at IvyWinterYT, and Rob?
I'm at Rob Plays.
And if you want more Disney videos, fun little Disney games and fun facts and all that good stuff, you can check out Rob's channel.
I have games?
As in, like, you know.
Disney games.
Yeah, I mean, like the things that we do, like Imagineering for Dummies.
Yes.
It's a game.
You can find that on my YouTube channel, Rob Plays That Game. I do 3 videos a week.
Yeah, but you don't actually do games.
There's a stress. There's a Disney stress. Getting 3 videos worth of content a week out. Oof.
And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe. I'm always doing videos on planning trips, and Rob is often with me. So if you enjoyed this particular video, subscribe and you'll see more. And that's about all I've got today, guys. So have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.